the case of example, the first design, when you design an any architecture or any application operation. So the designer, firstly, what happened, it has to be verified either it is operating either the programming language is operating with respect to the high level programming or low level programming level. So that is what a design can be first simulated at the high level behavioral high behavioral level. Instead of netlist, the design may be described in programming language such as C. So what is the need of defining this uh, with respect to the high behavioral level in the sense? So when we come to the behavioral level is said to be as an conditional oriented. Okay. So when we have an conditional operation, what happens? We are going to check on each and every input. That is what if you apply some pattern of 00001, you are going to get an output response of some 1 or logic 0 as an output. Else, if not, if you apply some other input of some pattern, you are going to drive as an output as some logic 0 or logic 1. So that is what it represents, the conditional level of representation. In such cases, to operate the design, we are going to we will be describing that in a programming language of high programming level of C. Such a description is compact but does not contain the detailed timing information. So in fact, if the design is going to be used with a high level programming also, we cannot define what is the time to be operating for that, what is the simulation time is taken to operate that design. We cannot define the exact information. The detailed information cannot be described within that cases. Okay. In this also, we cannot define the electrical behavior of the components at the high level programming. Okay, you cannot even describe the high level, you cannot even describe the electrical behavior. So electrical behavior in the sense, say if there is any changes or fluctuations in the component design or the placement of the design. So you cannot be described with all these changes or electrical behavior characteristics in the high level programming level. So once this design is verified, the higher level blocks or a C language subroutines are placed by the logical levels netlist. At this point, the logic simulator is used for verification. So the only difference what here is so the netlist is said to be, it's an inline. That is what inline, some inline with a basic programming level, HDL programming level, and also with the high level, the C programming level. So, and netlist is said to be as a combo. But when we come to the after designing of any application, the application, it has to be operated at the high level blocks also, right? So in that cases, we'll be using, if we are going to use an C language subroutines of functions, in such cases, you'll be replaced by using an logical level netlist. Okay, logical level netlist. So at this level, the logical level netlist, at this point, the logic simulator is used for verification. So it is used for verification purpose. Next one, the process may be repeated by replacing some or all portions by transistor level or circuit level implementation. So this may be, if there is any drawbacks in the design, that can be replaced by the transistor level or circuit level implementation. The simulation is used in this way for verifying very large electronic systems. So this can be verified by using with a very large scale electronic systems also. What were the weakness in the simulation based design? So this method depends upon the designer heuristic used in the generating the input stimuli to contain the complexity. These stimuli are non-exhaustive and therefore a guarantee of conformancy to specifications is impossible. Such a guarantee is impossible with a formal verification model. So, and this after designing an of any application. So in generating of input patterns or input vectors, the input stimuli plays a major role. So input stimuli, what happens? It has to check what is an input, what is the logic, or what is the time, or what else electrical behavioral behavior we are going to drive for the input. So all this should be verified basically. That is done by basically by input stimuli itself. So at the point of input stimuli, in some cases what happen, it comes out with the complexity of its input, or also non-determined, non-exactly determined inputs, non-guaranteed inputs. All these can be determined within that specification section itself, okay, at the input stimuli itself. In such cases, we'll be using within formal verification method. Okay, we'll be using within formal verification method, in the sense it's a manual procedure. Okay, a manual procedure which is going to detect what is where the device is having within faulty, what will be the output, what is an outcome of the faulty output. All these can be done as a formal verification method. Okay, and this a restricted form of formal verification method is known as a model checking. Okay, it is known as a model checking. Verifies finite state concurrent system by exhaustive search of state spaces. So this is a formal model. That is what a formal verification is known as a model checking basically. So which is going to verify the finite state concurrent system. So what is this finite state concurrent system? In the sense, based on the condition, that is what if it is 0 to 1 or 1 to 0, based on the concurrent conditions, it is going to define what will be the state of the outcome. Okay, so it verifies whether the given specification is true or not. It also verifies, it is going to check on either the design is said to be, either the verification is said to be true or not. That is going to be verified. An efficiently implemented model checking procedure will always terminate with yes or no answer. So if it is well designed and efficiently designed model, so that is going to check the procedure always continuously with respect to giving an answer with yes or no. And in spite of incompleteness, simulation provides a better check on the manufacturability of design. So if there is any incompleteness of the simulation procedure, that is going to define a drawback within the manufacturability. An ideal system of design verification should combine the behavioral level formal verification with an logic and circuit level simulation. So an ideal system design verification should combine the both behavioral level and also with the circuit level simulation also. That is what the conditional level and the formal level model both should be inbuilt as an verification procedure in the ideal system. So here we have one small example to determine the simulation design. So simulating with the example, simulating an adder circuit. So let us consider here a combinational circuit with 32-bit, two 32-bit binary integers. Okay, so which is designed, logic circuit is designed to add an 32-bit binary integer. Okay, this circuit has 64 binary inputs and 33 outputs. To completely verify the correctness of the implemented logic, we must simulate 2 power 64 input vectors and check each each produces a correct sum output. So in this case, what happened? If we have 64 binary inputs and 33 outputs, it requires completely of 2 power 64 input vectors to check each and every input and what will be the output of the sum that can be represented. That should be verified each and every based on each and every input vector. So this circuit may have about 200 gates, and fast logic simulator may require 1 microsecond to simulate one vector. The time required to complete the simulation is. So here they have determined that. So it has around 200 gates with the fast logic simulator, and time is given within 1 microsecond to simulate one vector. So what is the time taken to define this complete simulation procedure? In the sense, it gives, based on the calculation, it gives around 584,942 years. So it's a long duration of time period, which is going to give and simulate only for simulating an addition of two 32-bit binary integers. So this is a very long process, long duration of process, which can be done while we are going to check each and every test vector input and verify what will be the output of the outcome. So why? Because it has a very more time, more delay in its time processing computation. So this is what a small example we say for the design simulation. So to overcome of all these things, we are going to come out with the logic and formal. That is what fault simulation. Okay, logic and fault simulation. We come out with the logic and fault simulation. So which is going to define. So based on what type of input you are going to drive and what will be the output of the outcome. And where we are going to define the faulty within the circuit and what will be the outcome of the faulty. All that can be based on that procedure. You are going to minimize this time delay. You are going to minimize the identification of input vectors, and you are going to minimize the computation of the device level also. So for that sake, we are going to come out with the logic and fault model implementations. And here we have one concept of simulation for test evaluation. Okay, so before going for in-depth of logic and fault simulation, so we'll be discussing some basics of how the test patterns are generated. Okay, and what is that? What is an how the faulties can be identified, how the faulties can be minimized. All this will be discussed before going for the logic and fault simulation. Okay, why? Because it's a basic thing. Before we are going for the fault simulation, we are going to identify how the test patterns are generated. Okay, TPGs, how these are generated, and what was the internal mechanism of generating of test patterns, and how we are going to identify the faulties. It's a basic thing, a very important thing to be noted in the before going for the logic and fault simulation.